me do this at least. Hey, hi everyone. It's Emil. It's Emil Guillermo. We're live. We're live because I don't feel like editing. And if I'm live, I can say, oh, well, we're live. We're living dangerously and we're not editing. So that's wonderful. Anyway, my guest is generally on Friday, Dan Gonzalez, Professor Dan Gonzalez, who is one of the original professors at San Francisco State College. At the time they struck 1968, I believe. I should know this, but it was the beginning of ethnic studies in America. And it's mentioned in Ishmael Reed's play The Conductor, which is tonight. This is the last weekend for The Conductor. Yesterday's show was great. If you're in San Francisco, in Hawaii, if you're somewhere else, and you're saying, hey, I'm not in New York City on 155 First Avenue between 9th and 10th, I can't make it there, even though it's $18.75, which is damn cheap when it comes to an off-Broadway production. But you can see it live streamed just by going to theaterforthenewcity.net, all one word, theater, theater 4 the New City, newcity.net, or you can call 212-254-1109 and get the live stream. And then you can see it. My call time is about 45 minutes. I go and you don't put on makeup anymore. I guess the lights are so good that they get perfect skin tone or something. I mean, I used to like that. Used to be one aspect of the theater that you liked, that you get to put on your makeup, but not anymore. So I'll go in. The show's at 8 o'clock tonight. You just show up on First Avenue, 155 First Avenue in the East Village. Pay I think it's $18.75. That is cheap. Or $18. That's cheap. And then you can get the live stream by going to theaterforthenewcity.net. Anyway, Ishmael Reed's The Conductor. I normally would have Dan Gonzalez, Professor Dan Gonzalez, on with me on our Friday, but we had a most terrible thing. We had technical difficulties, which is never a good thing. So I have his audio, and I'm going to play his audio of the conversation that we had, where I asked him about The Conductor. I asked him, what do you think about the play, Dan? And Dan, like I said, was there at the beginning. College of Ethnic Studies, when it began, it's mentioned in the play, and he actually took some pride in that. And he actually liked the play, the production, and he liked watching it live streamed from San Francisco. So I'm going to play this tape of Dan and myself talking. So Dan, I won't keep it real because we're in a kind of a weird situation here, tech-wise. But you saw the play yesterday.
I did.
And
I really enjoyed it. Obviously, we're both personally students. We're really familiar with everything that you covered from a historical background point of view, and I thought that was excellent. I really did. I thought maybe a couple more specifics on exclusion, examples of exclusion when the main character was making his arguments. I thought the assimilationist position was a little too weak.
when you say the assimilationist position, what do you mean by that?
The Indian male's character was argumentative and very clearly representative of arguments that came from even academics like Dinesh D'Souza. That's the first guy I thought of
Right.
when I heard this was Dinesh D'Souza, who's been making the same freaky arguments States, right? For the last 40 years.
Right. Well, that's him, right? That really is.
I don't know. I don't know if Mr. Reed was using Dinesh D'Souza as a basis for that character.
Well, I think a Dinesh Souza-like character.
Sure. And there are a lot of, you know, and what people don't know is that, from my perspective, the South Asian community has a lot more conservative population,
Right.
generally speaking, right? Generally speaking, but as uh, they're not as vehement or illogical as the so-called U.S. right, the white Christian nationalist right is. They're not that severe. Uh, I thought dealing with class and caste was really important, but
Right.
it could get stronger emphasis.
Well, I thought, it was one of the
I
first
thought the
times
women, I thought the
yeah,
women did a good job.
it's one of the first times I heard anyone talk about Dalits and
Yeah,
Kanakas and
versus black.
how women are in India, and
Yeah, that was strong.
yeah, from a perspective of an Indian woman who is now in America, who is now feeling her way or power. I mean, I thought that's an unusual one. And then the black woman and her in dialogue, talking about the status of black women. I thought
That was one of the strongest parts, right?
Yeah.
The play. I thought that the main character's development of the history was really strong. But a couple of examples, specific examples around the exclusion, particularly anti Asian in general, and then the specific exclusion of on the West Coast of Hindus, quote unquote. I'm using their terms, right?
Right.
Hindus and Filipinos.
Yeah.
They
Well, I
mentioned the
thought,
same signs.
yeah, they were kind of light on the Filipino, I
Yeah.
thought, but they stopped really with just the turban of the tide of turbans.
Yeah. It's on the turbans are on the inside.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that. Could you tell that was me?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
I mean, could you tell that was my?
Something that you wrote.
Well, no, that was me delivering it, and we were improvising that.
Oh, okay, cool.
But could you tell that was because I'm off stage.
You're off screen at that time.
Yeah. But
I didn't know exactly who to attribute that to, but I really liked it. The
yeah.
turbans are on the inside.
Well, I was referring to the nosy neighbor who becomes a member of the Citizen Watch because now suddenly in the play,
That's right.
Indians are sort of the target of xenophobic rage on the part of these busybody.
Well, it's governmentally. It wasn't just socially and politically sanctioned. It was governmentally sanctioned.
Right. The community watch or the Citizen Watch, but this is something that is unique to the play in that it presupposes what happens if some international event occurs and
Right.
Indians, some madcap, crazy Indian prime minister does something, which isn't too far fetched in real life, but if it has an effect so that it impacts Indian Americans here or Indian citizens who are in America, visa holders.
Yeah. It could happen to any group, but it's more likely to happen to people who came from whose First Nations, whose prime home nations were engaged in high level of high tension, right? Circumstances. High level meaning involving the economy and military, possibly When I was still an undergrad, and I was finishing off my international relations side of my, I dual majored in poli sci. But when I was finishing off my international relations side, I was given very serious offers to join the State Department, and that's what I expected. I expected that when I took the major on, you and I declined. I even declined offers to for doctoral programs, PhD. I declined, and the reason was I had written as early as 1969 my first anti-Marcos criticisms, and he was very popular in '69.
Right. He was still
Not
the darling of the United States.
Yes, he was, but not only the United States. He had an international, a global imprint. It was just kind of corny, right? You know, showing up at parties with the Shah of Iran and stuff like that, right? But things that if he was more understanding, he would have understood. Maybe he was just arrogant. I don't know. He wasn't just he was arrogant. But anyway, the point is that I worried that if I joined the State Department, I would be used as an informant.
You would have to be less than. Well, you would be beholden to the government.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, that's something. I mean, there was a great interview today with Daniel Ellsberg by the New York Times, and
Amazing that he's still alive.
well, he has pancreatic cancer. He announced
that's
on his Facebook page.
It's pretty quick once.
Well, he says that it's a gift to live life like you're going to die at any moment, but he puts into perspective this idea of living a life in secrets, and of course, it becomes the duty of someone if you're in the State Department or if you're in some kind of, if you have the shield of secrecy, as part of your working life, it almost becomes mandatory that if you see something that is wrong or immoral or against one's patriotic values, you have to come out and speak out, which is what Ellsberg did. With the Pentagon Papers, he was working not in the State Department, I believe. I think he was working with the Rand Corporation.
Yeah, that's right.
But the whole idea of the interview was interesting today because he talked about why aren't we seeing more whistleblowers? Why aren't we seeing more people who are coming out who see these things and now want to reveal them to the public? Because we're not. I mean, there's some whistleblowers, Snowden, Chelsea Manning, there are probably two. But for the most part, we have a lot of people who are complaining and saying, well, yeah, the government is right. I signed on. And this is exactly what you're describing when you say, look, you're doing it what?
Yep.
I think, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know. I wasn't informed about this.
I think I mentioned.
You're what?
A friend one time was very close to me. And,
Can you come another time?
family shared time.
Yeah, it's rescheduled for tomorrow.
And
For me?
he wanted to make
I'm rescheduled for a couple of weeks. Next week? Thursday?
Authority.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the last things that I asked him before I supported is to get him in the position that he desired. I asked him, are you sure this is what you want? Because it's going to be constrictive. It's going to have a constrictive effect on everything. There's going to be really severe limitations on what you will be able to get. And he said yes.
Okay, I love Dan, but we go far afield here. Talking about, but I'll come back and talk to him. It's just that I wanted to get across some of his feelings about the play. He loved the play. he actually thought that I could have been more over the top. And I said, when you get to direct and you can say, Emil, you could be more over the top. I don't think I could have been more over the top than I was. Although it's your uh, prerogative to go see the show now, right? I mean, I'm not going to say the show's getting extended. We don't know if officially. And Dan said he wishes the show can come to the West Coast because in the West Coast, people are, this is a West Coast story. San Francisco Board of Education and the recall effort there. It became national and it's becoming a national story because the boards of education, the people who handle curriculum and decide curriculum in the schools, this is a battleground, a political battleground across the nation. So that was Professor Daniel Phil Gonzalez. We had some technical difficulty, and I asked for his, I guess it was a solicited testimonial. I asked him, did you like it? And he said, yeah, I liked it. He liked it a lot. And he appreciates the work of Ishmael Reed. And he's now Professor Emeritus, Dan, at College of Ethnic Studies, San Francisco State University. He was there at the beginning, and it's mentioned in the play as really the beginning. Ishmael cites it, or the character in Ishmael's play cites it as the beginning of Asian American history. And Ishmael also mentions Asian American luminaries like Frank Chin, who is too often forgotten by subsequent generations, remembered in his play. And Dan and I have a conversation about Frank. So I'll play it another time when I can edit it and go directly to those points, and we can spare you his commentary on his dear friend who took the wrong path. But although that's it, that's interesting. That's interesting. But I'm going to close just by saying Theater for the New City, The Conductor, Ishmael Reed's play, 155 First Avenue in New York. It's in the East Village. Tonight at 8 o'clock, Saturday at 8 o'clock, Sunday at 3. The final show. The final show. Hard to believe. May not be the final show, but Sunday at 3 p.m. It's going to be sad because even if it isn't the final show, it may not come back for a couple months. But it's funny what happens when you build up as a little theatrical group. It becomes like a family. I know it isn't truly a family, but there are bonds that are developed because it is a situation where there is trust. And if there's one thing I can say about this experience, is it's that experience of trust. You know, that's something we don't have in society, in normal life, in America. If there was a sense of trust, some of you may have heard, I had a little exchange with a guy who was knocking on my door, doing a safety check for my apartment here that I'm in. I didn't know him from Adam. I don't open the door for him. I said, come back when I'm not here. But honestly, that factor is gone. It's not, or not gone. It's there, but it's a smidgen of what it was. It's a smidgen of what it should be. Because if we had it, we wouldn't have had a banking crisis. We wouldn't have had this democracy crisis that we're in, where we have this twice impeached former president, telling people to take back the democracy, protest. He's talking about violence, about to get indicted, it appears, maybe as soon as next week. It didn't happen this week, even though he said another one of his more than 30,000 lies, as documented by the Washington Post during his time in office. It's just, we took it seriously. He said he was just getting it off the news. He had no real information, but he was not. He was not um, above not mentioning it and just taking the high road until and letting the process go through. So trust. Um, a lot of people still trust him, unfortunately. Um, Other examples: Fox News being sued for the lies that they spread about Trump's quote unquote reelection, about falsifying of about telling lies about the election. The Dominion case. Another suit was brought forth this week. No trust. No trust in the media. There was TikTok. The head of TikTok yesterday in front of Congress. He says, we don't belong to China. We're in America. We have the servers are on American soil. The data is safe. Wait, hold on a second here. Yeah, he already came by. He already came by. Yeah, he already came by. He said we set up the time for next week. I forget his name, but he came by just a second ago. Yeah, he knocked here. I talked to him. Thank you. There it is again. So you heard that. It's not that I'm just distrustful, but I guess I am. So who do you trust? Who do you? Your family? Your friends? Coworkers? I mean, that's what I learned about this experience in theater. That when you're on stage and you're live, you build this trust, you build this bond. And that's something that is worthwhile. That is something that is worth doing. So, oh, hey, I got a message from a good friend, Irma Herrera. Irma, named for is it a Swedish market? No, that's the joke. Irma, thank you. She said, just got my ticket, Emil, eager to see it. I assure you, Irma, this is going to be a better live stream than that other thing that I was in, even though, I mean, they were trying their best, but I think these guys have a little better setup. So, Theater for the New City. Check it out. It's, I'll hold up. Oh, here's Irma says, biggest grocery chair in Denmark. Sorry, I said Swedish, right? Irma. Anyway, and if you ever see Irma perform, great show, great solo artist, Irma Herrera out of San Francisco. So, as I said, I think it's great that you can do things like live stream and people can, from anywhere, the Philippines, from Hawaii, Europe, they can check this out. The Conductor, Ishmael Reed's new play, just a couple days more, tonight, Saturday, and then Sunday. And as I said, it's going to be sad because when Sunday rolls around and it's Sunday matinee, and I don't drink, you're going to want to at least lift up a bottled water or something and just say, oh my God, we've been through something together. We created something. And the truth is, throughout this whole process started maybe a year and a half ago when Ishmael was writing the play and said, I need a reading. Got together some actors, they read, oh, we need to have a stage reading. We're still on Zoom because no one was out and about. We did a stage reading in New York City, this very theater, well, actually through Zoom, under the auspices of the theater. And then, just in January, the word was, hey, or maybe it was just before December, just before the Christmas holiday, it was decided we're going to open in March. March. Uh, yeah, well, okay. And just in a couple months, it all comes together. And that's a theater, right? I mean, when you do it together, ensemble with, there are six of us. It's very, very close knit. Six plus two understudies. You trust them. That's your life as it exists in the theater, on stage, in that moment. You depend on them. It's pretty incredible, really, what the kind of bonds that develop, because it's not, when do you get that instantaneous kind of feeling that, oh man, here we are together, working together. It's rare, and it's really the gift of the theater. It's the gift of, and it's a communal thing. It's not just the people on stage, but it's also the community that is formed between the performer and the audience member. My God, I mean, let's not underestimate that. Last night I just had this feeling. I have a 5-minute speech, and in the 5-minute speech, I just recalled every time I delivered any kind of speech, and I felt a connectedness to the people in the audience. And it was so real. It was so taut, like there was a rope out to the other end, and we could tug on it, and we could feel each other, even though I was staring into the darkness. Again, the gift of the live theater, which ultimately is maybe the final point of this whole theatrical exercise of Emil going off into the wilderness. Well, not exactly New York City wilderness, but going off to New York City for 45 days to be off and off and under Broadway in 2 productions. One, my own one-man show at the Frigid Fringe, and this other at the Conductor at Theater for the New City. And that is coming back to life, coming back to society as a performer, but as a real live human being with something to say through a work of art in a live fashion. It's a way to come out of my closet and to communicate with you. I mean, I do that. I was doing this for the last 2.5 years. If you go to my Facebook page or YouTube, Emil Muck's Takeout, I just did it here I didn't even put it on the regular podcast sites. I just put it here on Facebook and on YouTube. And just as a way to communicate with people. I mean, small audiences. I mean, it didn't matter. It's like tonight you can see Jupiter and Venus and the Earth are all lined up. And I think you can even see Uranus if it is posed just right. Tonight, in a dark sky, you can see it. I tweeted it out. But, we're talking to someone. I mean, there are a handful of people now. The rest of you may see it on recordings on amok.com, but we're live now on Facebook, live on Twitter, live on YouTube. Yeah, the idea is, hey, I'm not really looking for an audience, but if there's a human being just wandering around the internet, yeah, here's another human being. So I did that during the pandemic. But there's something about going on stage, even though I don't live in New York City. I came here because this is where actors go. This is where I am, and it's very gratifying just to be on stage and to be back in society, or to come back into society this way without a mask. I mean, I wear a mask maybe 60% of the time now. I'm still wearing a mask. I guess on stage you can wear tragedy, drama, or comedy, tragedy, COVID. But I needed it to come back in. It's my re-entry. So I'm going to get ready for tonight's show. Thank you very much for joining me here. Regular listeners know you can catch me around 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 Eastern. We go live. We just go on live so I don't have to edit, so it's not recorded. Or so it's recorded, but it's live. There's no net here. And regular listeners know that I'll talk about the news. I wanted to talk about more about that Harvard joke. I'll do that in a subsequent show. Trump's perp walk. He says he wants a perp walk. I give him his perp walk. It's no big deal. And I wanted to talk about the 1,000 monkeys that were shipped here illegal. Listen to the PETA podcast and you'll get the skinny on the 1,000 monkeys and why it's important to stop monkey importation. Okay. And while you're at it, do that and see the Conductor tonight. In the meantime, regular listeners know I like to end each show with a meditation because it's helped me. It's helped me put in perspective. I mean, some of you say, "Yeah, I remember Emil from like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, 5 months ago." Oh, I remember Emil from like 50 years ago. I mean, there are some people like that. Oh, yeah, he was an asshole back then. I didn't like him then. I started meditating. I'm better. I'm a better person. I thought it would be Catholicism that would do it, but meditation. It's helped. Meditation and my colonoscopy. That helped. That helped a lot. The colonoscopy. If you saw my solo show, the colonoscopy cannot be, important. It's important. So I leave you with this meditation of loving kindness, because I believe that's kind of the issue, loving kindness. Oh, someone said, "Hey, Emil, before you give us the loving kindness, can you put the link up to the show?" Okay, here I'm going to put up the link to the show. Here's the link. ovationtix.com. https://ci.ovationtix.com/35441. That's how you do it. Anyway, loving kindness. My mom used to say this, show the love, because you know what? Or just be nice, be kind. And you know what happens? It comes back. She said that to me. I said, "Mom, are you a guru?" "No, I'm your mom." Okay. It comes back twice, she says. She was right. She's right. So, you just have to remember these 4 phrases, right? As I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal Kita.